It is almost 11 p.m. What am I doing streaming on Facebook and YouTube? I have not put out a TEM episode in a couple of weeks, and I got some inspiration for one. And actually, a big chunk of it is about how busy I've been with projects. And the inspiration came from this amazing Derek Sivers book, Your Music and People Creative and Considerate Fame. And I decided, because why not? I would live stream the recording of this. So the actual podcast will come out soon, but I wanted to do this on the air because why not? So here goes nothing. Anytime that I'm this tired and I'm recording the podcast, there's always a good chance that I'm going to screw up reading stuff, which if I were on the viewing end of this, I would stick around because it would probably make me laugh because I'm a bad person. So I need to hit record on my little record device here, and then we are off and running. Let's see here. I got to hit record here first. That is recording. And then over here next. Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Musician, a coaching service, podcast, and blog preparing today's musicians for tomorrow's realities. This is TEM 230, titled 90% is Up to You. Thank you to Parker Mouthpieces for providing the hosting for TEM. Parker Mouthpieces offers fine, customizable component mouthpieces for horn, trombone, euphonium, and tuba, including the Andrew Hitz Artist Model Tuba Mouthpiece. You can find out more at parkermouthpieces.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I've been starting the last few TEMs with a random shout out to some music that's been making me happy lately as a reminder of why I got into the business of making music in the first place. And I have really been enjoying Glenn Gould of late, which that's not exactly a newfound passion, but I love Glenn Gould's playing. I adore it. I think it's safe to say that he's a polarizing figure in the classical piano world. There are a lot of people who obviously revere him, and then there are some that really don't like him at all. Polarizing is good. The worst thing that can ever happen for an artist is to blend in and not get noticed. So, yeah, Glenn Gould definitely does not blend in at all. Quickly, I wanted to read my latest 5-star rating from Apple Podcasts. This comes from Jakey K329, and it's the title is "Outstanding Advice." 5 stars. I can't believe I'm just discovering this podcast. This should be required listening for every college music student and every performer in the business. My wife and I listen to back episodes every morning. We're going to try to listen to all 200 plus in 2021. Keep doing your thing, hits. I just wanted to point out that a couple that TEMs together stays together. I thought I was going to try and deliver that line without laughing, but I was not able to do it. And finally, a shout out to Dr. Brian Meixner and the students at High Point University. Tomorrow night, I am going to be talking to a bunch of the music majors there about being entrepreneurial in pursuing music as a career. So, thank you, Brian. Excuse me, Dr. Brian, for the invitation. I'm really looking forward to it. All right, TEM 230, 90% is up to you. I want to read this first of all, I need to plug this book. It's amazing. Your Music and People, Creative and Considerate Fame, Derek Sivers. You need to buy this book. It's incredible. I really like how this thing is broken down. You can open it to any page and read a single entry. Some are barely longer than a page, and it's great content all by itself, standalone. It's really awesome. This entry is titled, Was 10%, Now 90%. A few decades ago, as a musician, only 10% of your career was up to you. A few gatekeepers controlled all the outlets. You had to impress one of these powerful people to be allowed to present your music to the world. So getting discovered was about all you could do. But now 90% of your career is up to you. You have all the tools to make it happen. You have to come up with a plan and make it happen. You have to make a great recording, a great show, a great video. You have to make thousands of people want your music so much they are willing to pay for it. Record labels aren't guessing anymore. They're only signing artists that have built a success on their own. And even if a record label signs you, it's still up to you to make people want it. The only thing stopping you from great success is yourself. This is both scary and exciting, but at least you're in control. That's really good stuff. Derek's writing is always really high protein. It reminds me of Seth Godin's writing, where it gets to the point and it always leaves me thinking quite a bit. The quote this time that jumped off of that page was, "You have to come up with a plan and make it happen." We are announcing a big brass event this week for Pedal Note Media. I am the project manager. We're trying something new from a structural standpoint, where organizationally, it's incredible how much I have learned about us and about organizations and about how much Will Houchin and Lance Leduc, my partners at Pedal Note Media, and myself, that we've all learned about each other and ourselves, and we have like varying amounts of time and energy that we not even want but can put into the business at any given time. And it has taken us a while to come up with a plan that enables somebody to be able to use a cliche, to pick up the ball and run with it and have that be okay and not have it all have to be equitable. And we are largely flying, learning how to fly in the air, right? But I'm a project manager for this thing, and here's the list of things that I needed to do before the launch. Some that are past tense, and some that are still need to happen. And we have already recorded the podcast episode that comes out at 11 a.m. on Tuesday, the next Brass Junkies, and that's when the thing is announced. And it's pretty pretty straightforward, that you don't want to announce a big thing that you have for sale and then not have it available for sale when you do that. So I've got till 11 a.m. on Tuesday. And by the way, that's really good for me to have like a really hard deadline. But here's some of the things that I had to do before launch. I had to choose a platform. We were using Thinkific, which worked for our needs. We had a very successful summer brass workshop. We had a really successful trumpet workshop and a euphonium workshop earlier in the fall. But Thinkific is built more for courses than it is for live events that are also available on demand afterwards. And it was just kind of clunky, and the reporting was not impressive. And so I started looking for alternatives. The problem is that I found more than one option. Both Lance and Will said, "You figure it out. You find a new, and not in a, it's not our problem. Just in, they empowered me. They said, find a new platform and go with it. Like, you don't need to run this by us." Here's the problem: is that I found more than one option. I finally just had to choose one, and we'll see if I made the right call. For the record, I had to set a deadline to make this happen because I was there. There were certain pros and cons to so many different options. It's a popular thing right now. The market is pretty full of options, and none of them were screaming at me, but a bunch of them like were going to do the job. I literally said, "I'm deciding this by the time I go to sleep tonight," and I actually decided it within like half an hour of making that declaration in the morning. But I needed to do that. We will see if I made the right call or not. I had to figure out how to deliver the on-demand content that is available afterwards. It's one of our trademarks in the 9 months we've been doing these, is that our events are always available for a chunk of time. This is going to be for like 2 months after the event. You're going to be able to stream this. And I had to figure that out. I thought I had a super easy solution. When I researched it, I tested it, and I was wrong. I don't worry too much about piracy, but I figured out that this solution that I thought was a solution, you could just copy and paste the insanely long URL of the Zoom recording in the cloud, and you could just I opened it in a private browser, and it popped right up, which meant that it could just be like blasted to the entire internet. So I think that I have it figured out. Again, we'll see if I made the right call or not. I had to choose whether to build the sales page on pedalnotemedia.com or on a third party site where the actual sale was going to happen. And actually, I had to figure out whether I wanted to do that behind a membership area on our Squarespace account, or whether I wanted to just have it be like a landing page on Petaluma Media, or whether I wanted to have it be on a third party site. The first plan, of course, we want everything to go through our website, right? Well, the first plan was to actually embed the registration form on our website. It turns out that it is not that easy to embed a registration form that takes payments from one of these companies that ends up like registering people and dispersing the content. And so I ended up building a sales page on Petalnote Media and then building a much slimmer option on this third party website, which is where everyone's going to go to enter their credit card information. We'll see if I made the right call. You're noticing a trend here, right? We don't know because this is all different than any event that we have done before. And these were all things that we decided that we needed to do differently for a number of reasons. I had to choose the pricing and the model of the format, rather, is a probably better way to put that, of the event. For the first time, we are going with tiered pricing. We're going to have a 1 day pass, a 2 day pass, and a performer pass. And we then had to figure out how to clearly convey that to our pre-existing customers, since we've only ever been like, hey, you're either attending the fill in the blank workshop or you're not. And so, with the help of Will Houchin, who's one of the Pedal Note Media partners and who's a brilliant graphic artist, he came up, excuse me, we did not do anything. He came up with some graphics, and we'll see if we made the right call on the different tiers, which I think is a really good idea because it offers a slim down inexpensive one, and then like a middle one that's kind of packed with value, and then the performer pass will enable you to actually play in a master class, and it also comes with a bunch of bonus stuff. So we'll see. The roster of guest artists is a bigger one than we've had in the past for an event like this, which means more names to help sell it, but also means more overhead that we have to make more money in order to just cover our expenses before we see any profits. We'll see if I made the right call. This isn't even all of it, but it is awesome to get to figure all of this stuff out. I had a one of my former employers, one of my former college employers. They sent out a message. They sent me an email last summer. This was before Pedal Note Media was doing events, so they were not asking me to do like my Pedal Note Media thing for them, but they reached out offering me and some other people to design a summer course. Of course, there were the smart places in academia were kind of were scrambling because they pretty much all have in-person summer workshops that end up bringing in a lot of money, and it's also really good for recruiting. And there's like a lot of reasons to keep these things going. And this was obviously right towards the beginning of COVID, and so they offered up to people that if you could pitch them with an idea, if it got if it made money, it had to make a certain number of, certain amount of money, and that had to get approved by the school, that you could make up to, I don't remember what it was, like $2,000 or something like that, which is great. However, I am at a place in my career now where I don't want to ask anybody for approval about anything. I want to do all of this stuff that I just listed to you, and I want to fall on my face. I want to succeed wildly. This event could make us $10,000. We could lose $500. We have a lot more overhead than $500, but I don't think that I think there's an incredibly low chance that we're going to lose any money. But the point is that we could lose a lot of money, and we could make a ton of money, but we're going to learn from all of this stuff. And again, the last two lines from this Derek Sivers reading is: the only thing stopping you from great success is yourself. This is both scary and exciting, but at least you're in control. To be clear, I'm also not even being critical of a model where you have to pitch to to a pre-existing organization. There's an infrastructure in place. There's also like a marketing thing that's in place at a school of music that they could help you with. However, through TEM and through the Brass Junkies, I have built my own following, just like I'm a member of so many followings of so many people. And so the vast majority, because I thought about that proposal, I was like, well, I could use a couple of grand. It seems like that would be good for my resume if I could, design this for this school. And then I thought about it, and I respectfully declined, of course. But I realized that no, I didn't want anybody to control the pricing, the messaging, the imagery, the schedule. Um, I'm guessing they weren't going to allow it to be up for 2 months after the fact. And not that I'm married to any one of these ideas that I just listed to you, but all of these are based on our previous events and what we learned from those and what went well and what didn't and what sold really well and what sold a little bit less well. And so we just keep on learning. There is a 0% chance that I have nailed it this time. And I've put in an incredible number of hours on this. Incredible number. And I got a lot of work to do before before we hit uh, you don't upload an event. Boy, I sound old sometimes. Sometimes I sound so with it in terms of the tech terms, and then I'm like, we're going to upload the event and then sell it. It's like, well, no, it's not a course anyway. Once I, whatever the hell you call it, with the event, once it goes live, how about that? See, that's not that complicated. It's just 11 p.m. and I'm old. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited. As you keep on saying, keep saying, we'll see if I made the right call. And yeah, it's going to be exciting to see. I'm really looking forward to Tuesday, and we've got some sale pricing coming out, and there's a lot of thought has gone into this, and the floor is right there, and I could fall on it, and the ceiling is really high. So we'll see. I will keep you posted. But 90% of it is up to me at this point, and I have to have the courage also to put this thing. I'm going to be blasting this from the rooftops, not even just talking to you about it on the TEM audience, but everybody knows. I mean, if this thing bombs, then well, everybody's going to know that I'm the one who planned the whole damn thing. But that's okay, right? Like I'm just trying to provide an event. And oh, by the way, the event has to be great too, right? Doesn't matter how much money you sell if the event's only like fine. I'm not talking about like a horrible event. Our first attempt was way above horrible, like way above. Um, I'm reminded of my recently deceased late great friend Dennis Askew, who appeared on the Brass Junkies. And in preparation, because he was this crazy and this thorough, he listened to 10 episodes as as researcher. We asked him what he thought of them, and his response was, "I didn't hate any of them," which we thought would make a great tagline for the Brass Junkies. But we're really excited. I'm excited. I will keep you posted. Thank you so much for tuning in, as always, to TEM. Um, the entrepreneurial musician is, and I'm supposed to have I did this last time too. How about this? I'm supposed to have the outro ready to go, and I didn't have the outro ready to go, and it would be fine to ad lib the outro if I was ready to ad lib the outro, but since I was ready to read it, then we just had a problem. And so I wanted to say thank you to everyone for listening, subscribing, leaving a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get TEM, and simply for your attention, the most valuable commodity any of us have to give. TEM is produced by Will Houchin and is a part of the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network. The theme music for TEM is played by Ben Barron, Rich Kelly, Daniel Lapel, and myself, Andrew Hitz. For show notes, the TEM blog, and to learn more about TEM coaching, please visit our new website, tem.fm. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and please subscribe to our new YouTube channel. And that's going to do it for another episode of The Entrepreneurial Musician. All right, there we go. The reading there wasn't as bad as it could have been. So because it's late, yeah, that actually went pretty well. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I'm sure that you enjoyed me scrambling for the outro, which I thought was ready, and then I pulled up an old one and it wasn't there, and my life is hard. So anyway, thank you all very much. This is going to go live very soon, although it's already it's already on YouTube and Facebook. It'll go through the podcast stream soon. And if you are a brass player, check out the Brass Junkies. This episode coming up this week.